Welcome to part two of labeling and translating stage 18 taberna with a focus on dependent clauses. We left off right here, this sentence. So the shopkeepers feared the thugs because they extorted money and used fear. All right, next sentence. Operai, again, a first declension noun. It's our subject. We can confirm with the verb. Our verb is plural, so we can have a plural subject here. This AE in the first declension can be a couple other things. It could be genitive singular, it could be dative singular, but considering that our verb is plural, let's go with this being our plural subject. Libertum, definitely accusative, and we've got a nice accusative adjective here modifying it. And then we come to a relative pronoun, qui. So let's do our bracket to begin our relative pronoun and scroll along until we find a verb, and then we'll close off our relative clause with a closing back bracket. Now, qui, that is definitely nominative. It's masculine. Could be singular or plural. But let's look back and see, do we have any masculine singulars or plurals in the sentence? And we do. We've got libertum. The thugs, even though this is a first declension noun, it is actually masculine. It could be referring to that as well, but as we get into translating, you'll realize that that wouldn't make any sense for it to be referring to the thugs. Nuper means recently. It's an adverb. Illam, this is another one of those adjectives that I told you to at least just translate it for now like an adjective. So that am is going with tabernam. Nice first declension noun, definitely accusative, therefore our direct object, and then we've got a verb. All right, let's go back and translate. So the thugs killed my freedman who recently was owning that store. So now we know why Barbillus was a little hesitant to sell this store to Quintus for Clemens. And now you can see why it doesn't make sense for this who here to be referring back to the thugs. All right, next sentence. We've got am here, definitely an accusative, so definitely our direct object. And then we've got in, starting a prep phrase. In via, there's nothing over here that's modifying via, so we can go ahead and close off our prep phrase there. In venimus, if you see this us here, you might want to try to think that it's a noun, but it's actually mus. This is a verb. Mortuum, it's an adjective. Nice modifying am, and that's our sentence. So what's our subject? We don't have a nominative. When we don't have a nominative as an obvious subject, you go to your verb. You look at the ending. Mus means we. So we found him in the street dead. Or you could say we found him dead in the street. Either one works grammatically fine. All right, next sentence. Libertus, nice second declension noun, definitely our subject. Qui, we've got a relative pronoun here. So let's go ahead and do our opening bracket for our relative clause. And we scroll along until we come to a verb and then close off our relative clause. Let's go back to the relative pronoun. It's nominative, masculine, could be singular, could be plural. So let's look and see what we've got on the outside. And here we have a masculine singular. So it's definitely referring back to that. They both happen to be nominative, so this is the subject of the main clause. This is the subject of the relative clause. All right, but senex is also nominative. So this is what we call a subject complement. And we can confirm that it's a subject complement because we have a linking verb. Remember, linking verbs, just think of them as like an equals sign. They're connecting two sames. These are both nominatives. They're both part of the subject. And that linking verb is linking them together. And now we have an adjective. Also definitely nominative, singular, and masculine. So it's going with senex, the old man. But this is a comma, not a period, so let's keep going. We've got aperis. This is here could be dative or ablative, plural. There's no preposition with it, so it's definitely not ablative. It's not the object of a preposition. It's our indirect object. Pecuniam, nice first declension noun, definitely our direct object. Dara, it's an infinitive, and it's a complementary infinitive because it's completing the main verb. Noluit, this is our verb. Okay, let's go back. So the freedman, who was an obstinate, or you could say stubborn, old man, did not want to give money to the thugs. All right, next sentence. Operai, again our subject. Eum, nice direct object, nice accusative ending there. Wekerant is a verb. Tabernam, que, so tabernam is direct object. This que here is an enclitic. It's attaching itself to the end of a word. It means and. So ignore this when trying to decode this word here. We're looking at the am to figure out what it is. It's accusative. It's our direct object. And then de repuerant is another verb. All right, so the thugs killed him and destroyed, or not destroyed, but ransacked his shop. All right, last bit here. Here we go. So Clemens, third declension. This goes in the odd box or the squiggly line. This is your subject. This is also nominative though, so it's a subject complement. Let's just confirm that we can handle a subject complement here. We go to the verb. Sure enough, it is a linking verb. So it's just linking these two subject-like items together, these two nominatives. Fortis, this is an adjective. It's a third declension adjective. So it's modifying a nominative. Non is an adverb. Senex, another subject complement. And we've got another adjective here in the nominative, modifying the nominative. So this is within the quote. This is everything within the quote. Outside the quote, though, we have basically a separate sentence. So ego is I, it's nominative. Barbillo. Now this O here, you might want to think that this is third declension nominative singular, kind of like grumio, but you got to remember it's barbillus, US. Barbillus is a second declension name. So this O in the second declension is dative. That's how we know barbillus here is our indirect object. Respondi. This is your verb. It's first person singular perfect tense. This comes from your e isti it, imus istis erunt. All right, so Clemens is a brave or strong man, not a weak old man. I responded to Barbilus. Notice how I got that to Barbilus in there, the idea of the indirect object. All right, next sentence, nice and short, though it does have a little tricky part in it. So Fortuna, first declension noun, nice and simple. That's our subject. Semper is an adverb. Dei is dative. Most of the time, datives are our indirect object. But you'll notice I have it marked as a direct object because fawet is a special verb. Fawet takes the dative as its direct object. So even though it's dative, you're going to want to mark it as a direct object, not an indirect object. So fortune always favors him. I encourage you to pause for a moment and think about why Quintus says this. What does he mean when fortune always favors Clemens? All right, honk, this annoying little adjective-like word that I keep pointing out here. It is feminine, it is accusative, it is singular, so it is modifying tabernam, and tabernam is accusative and singular. It's definitely a direct object. Clementi, this accented I here in the third declension, because remember Clemens is a third declension noun. That's your odd right there. So this is definitely dative. It's our indirect object. Emera, this is an infinitive. It's a complementary infinitive because it's completing the idea of the main verb right here, I want. Okay, so let's start with our subject. Our subject here is I. We have no other nominatives here in the sentence. Nothing that is standing out as our subject. So we go to the verb, it ends in an O, we start with I. I want to buy this store for Clemens. You could also say, I want to buy Clemens this store. Doing the for Clemens here gets that to or for in there for your indirect object. All right, tibi, personal pronoun. It's dative, so that's our indirect object. Centum is an adjective. It means 100. Most numbers, other than just the first couple numbers, meaning 1 and 2, they don't change their ending, which can be kind of annoying. You just got to tell from context what it's modifying. What are there 100 of? So there are 100 gold pieces here. So oreos, that os there is accusative plural, that's our direct object, and offero, that's our verb. So just as in the previous sentence, it's I is the subject. Okay, so I offer 100 gold pieces to you. Or you could say, I am offering you 100 gold pieces. Plaquetne. Ne is just this little, it's an enclitic. It attaches itself onto the end of a word, and it just means that you're dealing with a question. So, is it pleasing? Mihi is your direct object, even though it is dative in form. The reason why I have it marked as a direct object is because plaquet is a special verb. So this is the direct object of plaquet, even though it is dative. Respondent's a verb. Barbillis, nice and easy second declension noun. It's definitely our subject. It's nominative. So, it pleases me, responded Barbillis. Okay, centum, this other, this adjective, again, just like over here, does not change form, even though here it's modifying a nominative. So here it's modifying a plural nominative. Up here it was modifying a plural accusative, but it did not change form. Centum, centum. Aurei, the gold pieces, that's your subject. Sufficient means they're sufficient, they suffice. So 100 gold pieces suffice. They are, as in they are enough. All right, last sentence. Barbillo. Barbillis is our second declension. Nice and easy. So this O here could be ablative, could be dative, but there's no preposition going with it. So it's definitely dative. It is our indirect object. Igitur is an adverb. Centum, again, we've got that centum. It means 100. It's an adjective, even though it doesn't change its ending. Makes sense to be going with oreos, the gold pieces, just like in the last two instances. Oreos, os here, second declension accusative plural. Definitely accusative, definitely our direct object. And then tradidi, it ends in an I. This is our verb, so it's first person singular perfect. I hand it over. So we've got no nominatives in here, so we stick with our verb to find out our subject, which is I. So I handed Barbillis 100 gold pieces. I forgot the adverb in there. Let's do that again. Therefore, I handed 100 gold pieces to Barbillis. All right, remember, memorata discipuli, that the ending of a word indicates its function in the sentence. You need to use your charts to decode. You're not going to be able to tell what the function of words are unless you are able to decode them. Take some time to make notes on the characters and the plot development in this story, and definitely see me if you have any remaining questions. Wale to discipuli.